He won $500 million in the lottery, but he told absolutely no one. For 6 months, he tested his friends and family. What he discovered about human nature broke his heart. This is the story of David Chen and the most painful experiment of his life. David Chen was 38 years old. He worked as a mechanic at a small auto repair shop. Every week, he bought the same lottery numbers. On Friday night, March 15th, his life changed forever. David checked his ticket and couldn't believe his eyes. All 6 numbers matched perfectly. The jackpot was $520 million. David stared at the ticket for 20 minutes. His hands were shaking, and his heart was racing. "This can't be real," he whispered to himself. David's first instinct was to call everyone immediately. He wanted to share the incredible news with his family. But something stopped him from picking up the phone. What if this changes how people see me? He thought. What if they only want me for my money? David had always been a careful and thoughtful person. He decided to wait and think about this carefully. Maybe I should test people first, he said to himself. I want to know who really cares about me. David made a plan that would change everything. David lived in a small apartment downtown. He drove an old Honda Civic that barely worked. His clothes came from discount stores. David had very little money saved in the bank, but he was happy with his simple life. David had many friends and a close family. His brother Mike often borrowed money from him. His best friend Carlos always asked for help with bills. His girlfriend Sarah complained about their cheap dates. David wondered if these relationships were genuine. David quietly claimed his lottery prize. He chose to receive annual payments over 30 years. Each year, he would get $17 million. But David told no one about his incredible fortune. He continued working at the auto shop every day. David opened a secret bank account. He kept living in the same small apartment. He drove the same old car to work, to everyone around him. Nothing had changed. But David was carefully watching how people treated him. David's brother Mike called him 2 weeks later. Hey, David, can you lend me $2,000? Mike asked. I need to pay my rent, and I'm short this month. David had lent Mike money many times before. This time, David decided to say no. Sorry, Mike, I don't have any extra money right now, David replied. Mike became angry and started yelling. You're so selfish, Mike shouted. You never help family when we need you. Mike hung up the phone without saying goodbye. Carlos had been David's friend for 15 years. They had grown up together in the same neighborhood. Carlos often asked David to pay for dinners and drinks. David usually said yes because he valued their friendship. Now, David wanted to see what would happen if he said no. Carlos, I can't afford to go out this weekend, David said. I need to save money for my bills. Carlos looked annoyed and disappointed. You're becoming really cheap lately, Carlos replied. Maybe I'll find friends who aren't so stingy. Sarah had been David's girlfriend for 2 years. She often complained about their modest lifestyle. Why can't we go to nice restaurants? She would ask. All my friends. Boyfriends buy them expensive gifts. David decided to test Sarah's true feelings. David planned a romantic picnic in the park. He made sandwiches and brought homemade lemonade. "This is so cheap and embarrassing," Sarah said. "I'm tired of dating someone who has no ambition. Maybe we should take a break," she added coldly. Month after month, David's test continued. The results were heartbreaking and eye-opening. When David stopped spending money on others, they disappeared. His brother Mike stopped calling completely. Carlos found new friends who paid for everything. Sarah started dating a wealthy businessman. She didn't even tell David about the breakup. David saw her photos on social media with expensive jewelry. So this is who they really are, David thought sadly. The people he loved only loved his money. But David's experiment also revealed beautiful surprises. Mrs. Rodriguez, his elderly neighbor, often brought him food. "You work so hard, mijo," she would say kindly. "Let me cook for you." She never asked for anything in return. Tom, a young coworker, always offered to help David. When David's car broke down, Tom gave him rides. When David seemed sad, Tom listened patiently. Friends should support each other. Tom always said these people cared about David, not his wallet. Every day, David passed a homeless man named Frank. Frank sat outside the coffee shop near David's work. Most people ignored Frank or looked away. David always stopped to talk and share his lunch. Frank never asked for money, just friendship. "You're one of the few people who sees me as human," Frank told David. "Most people act like I'm invisible, but you treat me with respect and kindness." Frank's words touched David's heart deeply. Real friendship had nothing to do with money. After 6 months of testing, David felt ready. He had learned painful truths about some people. He had also discovered genuine friends who truly cared. David decided it was time to reveal his secret, but he would be very careful about who he told. David made a list of people who had shown true character. Mrs. Rodriguez, Tom, and Frank were at the top. These people had been kind without expecting anything. David wanted to share his fortune with people who deserved it. The greedy ones would get nothing. David invited Mrs. Rodriguez, Tom, and Frank to his apartment. They were confused about why he wanted to meet. "I have something important to tell you," David said nervously. "6 months ago, I won the lottery." Their jaws dropped in complete shock. "I've been testing people to see who really cares about me," David explained. "You three have shown me genuine friendship. You cared about me why? Oh, you thought I had nothing." Mrs. Rodriguez started crying with happiness. Tom and Frank couldn't believe what they were hearing. David gave Mrs. Rodriguez money to buy a house. "You've been like a mother to me," he told her. He paid for Tom's college tuition completely. "You deserve to follow your dreams," David said. He helped Frank get an apartment and job training.
"I don't need all this money," David explained. "Money is only valuable when it helps good people. You showed me kindness when I was just a poor mechanic. Now I want to return that kindness." His true friends cried tears of gratitude.
Word eventually spread about David's lottery win. Mike, Carlos, and Sarah all came running back. "Why didn't you tell me, brother?" Mike demanded. "We're family. You should have helped me." Carlos and Sarah also acted angry and hurt. "I did tell you," David replied calmly. I told you with my actions for 6 months. When I said I had no money, you abandoned me. When I needed support, you disappeared. Now you want to be part of my life again. Carlos and Sarah also acted angry and hurt. You never loved me, David continued. You loved what I could do for you. When that disappeared, so did you. Mike, Carlos, and Sarah tried to make excuses. We didn't know you were testing us, Sarah said. That's exactly the point, David replied. I wanted to see your true character. Real friends don't abandon you. When times are hard, real love doesn't depend on money. David's words hit them. Like a punch to the stomach, David learned the most valuable lesson of his life. Money reveals people's true character. It doesn't change who you are, but it shows who others really are. David discovered that his real family wasn't blood related. His real family consisted of people who loved him unconditionally. Years later, David reflected on his experiment. Winning the lottery was both a blessing and a curse, he said. It broke my heart to learn the truth about some people. But it also showed me the beauty of genuine friendship. The real prize wasn't the money. It was discovering who truly loved me. David learned that wealth means nothing without real relationships. He learned that kindness is more valuable than cash. And he learned that the people who love you when you have nothing are the only ones worth keeping when you have everything. Sometimes the most painful tests reveal the most beautiful truths. Here's the big question that's dividing people online. Was David right to test his friends without telling them? Or was it unfair to judge them based on a lie? Team David says he discovered their true character. Team Honesty says testing people secretly is wrong. Comment your vote, Team David or Team Honesty. Let's see which side wins. Subscribe because next week's story is even more controversial, and I want your opinion on every moral dilemma we explore.
Every view, every comment, every like tells me that good people still exist in this world. You are proof that humanity is beautiful. Until next time, keep being amazing.